is a really great club, one of the best clubs in the world, and so I think I love football, and if you love football, you love Benfica, and if you have the opportunity to come to a club like Benfica, yeah, of course, it was from the first start, from the first talks with the responsible people, it was in my mind that it could be a very good option for me, and so I really look forward to be part of Benfica now, and to be part of the family, of the culture and everything. So I'm excited to work with them.
Hello. Welcome to episode 108, preseason Silverware. It's the first Silverware I think we've celebrated since we initiated this podcast.
We got to start somewhere.
Seriously, it's a good start, I guess. Tonight, we have the usuals. Myself, Mike, your host. I have Kenny, Bill, Oscar, and Jason. Gentlemen, how are we tonight?
What's up, boys?
What's going on?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good. Everyone's excited to get this started. Quickly in the chat, we already got Chico Marcelino. Boa noite para ti. Bom dia. Vai acabar de ser bom dia. Tiago, boa noite, Maltinha. And Red Baron, boa noite a todos. Para a malta que esteja nos ver em português, hoje temos o nosso podcast em inglês. Amanhã temos o podcast em português com um painel diferente a partir das 21 horas, por isso estejam à vontade de participar aqui no nosso cantinho. Podem comentar à vontade, em português ou em inglês, todos percebemos, iremos abordar as vossas questões, mas estejam à vontade. E amanhã, se quiserem, o podcast em português com o Luís, com o Nuno e com o Mauro Xavier amanhã a partir das 21 horas. Boys, we got a lot to cover. We got 60 minutes of action-packed Benfica talk here, so I want to get right into it. Before we do, I just want to mention that we finally hit 25,000 followers on Facebook, a huge milestone for us, so thank you to everyone who has contributed to that. Our goal is to hit 30,000 by the end of the year, or of the end of the season. So I will, we'll keep pushing for that, and hopefully we can reach that goal. Troféu de Algarve. We will talk about that. The victory against Nice on Friday. We beat Fulham 5-1 on Sunday. We'll talk about the transfer market. There are quite a few names that have been flagged for dismissal, or supposedly going to leave the club. We'll talk about that. And at the end, we'll have a little start, bench, and sell, another interesting one. And in the mix, we'll talk a little bit about Enzo Fernández, who has joined. And we will get your thoughts on first impressions. He basically arrived, got off the airplane, put on a kit, and got right on the field. He didn't waste any time. But then again, he's probably the most fit of all players on the squad, considering the Argentinian league is already in the process. So quickly, I just need to do some action here on one of our comments. Just give me a second. All right, so that's cleaned up. All right, we'll start with this weekend, and we're going to do the two games together because I don't think there's any real need to break it up. And while we do it, I'm going to run the highlights in the background so we can, chat and look at the highlights as we go. As always, make sure you guys add your comments and thoughts in the chat. I'm going to start with Kenny. I'm going to start with you. Thoughts on kind of what we saw in this tournament? Again, I know that it's a preseason tournament. We're starting to see some glimpses of what we could potentially expect from the manager and his style. But is there anything that kind of, again, we talked about it after the running game. Is there anything that kind of jumps out to you? Anything new that you're seeing? Anything that you see that's still lingering from the past?
Yeah, no, I think let's preface this with saying, it's preseason, but I think we had some good results. I mean, we scored a lot of goals, conceded one goal during the tournament. I like what I've seen. I mean, I did only catch really the full Fulham game. I thought we played well both halves. I feel like Rogers got sort of based on, the lineups for both of the matches. I think he's got an idea of where, he's going to come in with on the starting 11, who he feels comfortable with. Still think there could be maybe a surprise or two with the actual the final lineup to begin the season. Maybe some new guys that might come in still, but I think the core of the team is there, and I'm just pretty impressed with how we've come out. We've been aggressive. We've seen a little bit more creativity. Finishing from all over, right? I think all forwards scored that played, and we saw obviously Rafa. I thought probably had, I know Gonçalo Ramos got the MVP of the tournament, but I think Rafa seems to be in a better mood this season. Maybe the change of manager, but I'm glad of what I've been seeing so far.
Jay, I'm gonna pass it to you. Same question. Anything that's new that's standing out to you? Anything that you see that's lingering? And David Neres, I know that you and I were of the opinion that he, against Reading again, first game, wasn't great. But did you see anything more? I know that he had a nice nutmeg along the end line. I believe it was against Nice, if I'm not mistaken. But did you see a little bit more? Was it against Fulham? Did you see anything more captivating from him, given that he has a few more minutes under his belt?
You're referring to Neds, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I thought he played a lot better in the second game. The first game I wasn't too impressed, but I thought he played a lot better. It was more aggressive, and he had a kind of nice little nutmeg in there for a little show. So I thought overall he played better. So it's good to see, and maybe he just needed some more time to gel. So, I mean, it's preseason. So, I mean, this ball right here was a beautiful ball. I mean, two simple passes, Rafa, then
Anyone else think Rafa was going to blow it up?
No.
I thought he was going to shoot.
I thought it was going to be a good play. You could see that this is like Rafa was already looking at Gonçalo Ramos, so I thought it was just going to be a regular tap in. So it's good to see. Like, I thought he played overall. I thought he played very well. Things that I've seen, like one thing that really has caught my eye was we're scoring on set pieces. I think it's something that we haven't done in the past couple of years, and it's good to see a lot of goals on the back post. I think who scored? Otamendi.
Yep.
And Chuck I don't think this one was a set piece. Was it?
Gilberto scored on the other one.
Yeah.
Gilberto.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just good to see. I think they're playing differently. They're pressing very high. They're winning a lot of balls on the opponent's side of the field. So I think it's good to see that. I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought Fulham was going to be better than they were. I don't know if they're going to be a big threat in the EPL, to be honest, but maybe Benfica is that good. Who knows?
Yeah, hopefully we don't blow our load too early.
I know, right?
Bill, I'll pass it to you. Thoughts on what you've seen so far, or at least this weekend. And you had mentioned the comment last podcast, which we all raised our eyebrows a bit about the starting 11, and you thought that what you saw against Reading was close to what we would see. And I guess my question to you is, this weekend it was basically the same formation or the same lineup, with the exception of the goalie switch on Sunday. Odysseus started, and then Elton started on Friday. So Odysseus, Gilberto, Otamendi, Morato, Grimaldo, Florentino, Enzo, João Mário, Rafa, Neres, Gonçalo Ramos. Do you think this is starting to be an indication of the core that we could see in that starting 11, or do you still think there's some pieces that fill in and some that come out?
I think to start, and probably for the Champions League qualifier games, this is probably the 11 we see. I mean, the fact that he played the same 11 to start both games is a pretty good indication that he has a core group of guys, and he's working with those guys now, and I don't see him changing it all too much. I would like to see, like I would like to see him with these 11, because I think he gives us a different dimension going forward than Gilberto does. But I think for the most part, I think this is the 11 we saw this weekend to start both games. I think that's the 11 we're going to see to start the season.
Oscar. Oh, Bill, before I jump away from anything that you see that's from a positive perspective, anything that you see that's lingering from last season?
This is a completely, the way they're playing, completely different team. Like night and day. It's crazy to think that, I mean, a few signings and a new manager and this team looks completely different. Red Baron said it, and it's something so little, but like these players are enjoying it right now. Like, how many times last year did these guys look miserable on the field? And right now, preseason, I know it's preseason. I know these aren't the toughest opponents, but we're putting in good performances. We're getting really good results. And these guys are out there smiling, enjoying it, and playing well. And the effort that we're putting in from the second we lose the ball to win it back is crazy. Because last year, it seemed like we'd lose it, and it was just your first focus was turn around, drop deep, and that was it. Like, there was no pressure from the top. And this year, it's literally pressure from the forwards all the way back. Everyone's working their tits off to get to win the ball back.
Oscar, I didn't want to pass it to you until Pizzi had taken that penalty just so he wouldn't.
Did you see his smile?
I know. I don't know if anyone else caught it, but he was.
I'm not going to bring him up today, guys. So stop it.
Thoughts on what you've seen, and then my question for you is that midfield of Tino, João Mario, and Enzo. That was the first time we saw it this past weekend. I thought it looked good, and we'll talk about Enzo shortly. But what are your thoughts on, again, the question that I asked previously? But how are you liking this midfield trio? And right, Weigl was one of our best last year, and do we see a spot here where he's completely boxed out and doesn't have a spot in the starting 11? If this midfield trio gels the way that they potentially could?
I mean, I'm liking this trio. I'm a fan of going young here. The only question I have is, can Tino last? Like, he had a phenomenal first half with Lage and then fell off the horses, right? So can he do the whole season? I mean, he's young, but for some reason he's not a guy that completely convinces me when it comes to motivation the whole season, right? He's got the skill. If he wants it, it's all in his hands to take. But man, the three of them in there, that's what I think Roger said it from the beginning. João Mario is going to be his number 10, and then this Enzo guy is phenomenal, man. He's just ridiculous. I was looking at him. My first one, I was looking. We'll
get to him. Don't talk about him yet.
I know I'm not going to talk about him, but he's bigger than where I thought he was. Like, he's a big boy in the midfield. Yeah. And when I saw him in River Plate, I thought he was like a young, little scrubby kid. But I'm like, the kid is big. He makes a big presence in there. So I was impressed. Like, the first few games, it's like I'm not the type to like we did it with Jesus 5-6 games. Hey, we're winning, we're in a streak. I like to hold, keep my feet on the ground and kind of just go game by game. Let's get to the Champions League and see how we play against those teams. We might face Jesus on the second round. It's a 50-50 chance if we pass at least this next round. If we pass it and they pass it, then it's a 50-50 chance we face them, Fibonacci. So that could be interesting if we face Jesus. I mean, our attacking mentality, high press, motivation that this coach has on these young guys, it's all positive right now. I'm optimistic right now, very optimistic.
I'm going to toss this question out there and feel free to jump in. And Bill had touched on it briefly, but anyone surprised that Gilberto got those 2 starts and Ba didn't get the start on Sunday? I mean, he had a goal and assist against Reading. I believe he had an assist against Nice, but I could be wrong. He got an assist against Fulham. Anyone surprised, or what we're seeing from Gilberto is, do you think going to be enough for him to that spot be his to lose, essentially, and Ba's going to have to work harder for it?
what we see from Gilberto so far, nothing is. I haven't seen one bad thing from Gilberto this preseason. Not one bad thing. Like we can maybe the goal that they suffered on the only goal they suffered, it was a cross in that, but mostly the Centrais left him alone. But Gilberto's been playing his part, his role, and to be honest with you, he's been attacking, defending perfectly fine for like I have no complaints about Gilberto. So it's almost like when they took out Odysseus from goal to put in Elton late. Why the fuck do that? If the guy's doing his job and he's not, we're not suffering because of him. Why take him out? I mean, let the guy play.
Anyone else have an opinion on right back spot?
You can always compare it to like Weigel's situation, right? Weigel was one of our best players last year, and why pull him out and give Tino the opportunity? I think it just might fit. I'm just saying, like, you can kind of compare it to that, where Weigel lost the position, but he wants to give Gilberto maybe the chance to start. I don't mind it, because I think the more options, the better. I think we have been thin on the bench in the past, and I think having quality, you might look at it as a waste of talent sitting on the bench, but I mean it could potentially be a long season, a lot of games, and it's nice to know that if Tino gets hurt, you got Weigel on the bench. If Gilberto gets hurt, Baz on the bench, or vice versa. So I think it's a good problem to have, not a bad problem to have.
Jay, do you have an opinion? If you do, before, I just want to... Tiago says, ambos serão duas opções válidas, podemos contar com os dois, mas Baz tem mais qualidade. Chico Marcelino goes along the same lines. Baz the better offensively, but for now, Gilberto Carlos has the spot.
and I agree with that. Mike, you can tell the Baz he's a guy that will...
He's a speedster.
Eventually, he'll take the spot. But I'm talking about right now, like, let Gilberto play his game, and then Baz has to earn his spot. In the case of Weigel, I mean, unless he sees something in practice that Weigel doesn't mash up very well with Enzo or with the other two guys, I mean, I wouldn't have taken out Weigel, but maybe he sees something with Florentino that matches better with the other two guys in practice. I don't know.
Jay, what do you think?
I mean, to be honest, I kind of agree with everything Oscar and Kenny said. I kind of trust Gilberto. I think Baz is going to take the spot eventually throughout the season, probably halfway through. But right now, I think Gilberto has it, and like Oscar said, he hasn't done anything wrong to lose it. I think Gilberto's actually been playing pretty good.
Jay, I'm going to toss this hot potato to you. Gonçalo Ramos MVP. I know that you said this morning, last podcast, you said you were worried about the strikers. There was rumors that he was going to leave. The rumor this weekend or this morning is that Roger Schmidt has requested that Benfica does not negotiate Tino, Morato, and Gonçalo Ramos, that he wants them to stay in the squad. You seem to be a little bit more optimistic about our front line. Tell us a little bit more of what that feeling's like.
No, it's just now that it basically says that he's going to stay. So now that gives us 3 options up front and 3 really good options, I think. So I think that's what helps me.
Musa's there too.
Okay, like I said, 3 options that at least I trust. I haven't seen Musa play, to be honest.
Wait, who are your 3?
I'm going to go with Ruju the Kid, Chuck, and Ramos. But I just didn't like now. At least Ramos played last year. I think Ramos I think he's the best striker that we have. I could be wrong on that, but I think Ramos is going to score a lot of goals for us this season if he stays in this system. That's just my prediction. I was scared of him. I was scared of him leaving, but now that he's staying, I'm a little less concerned overall.
I'll open this up to you guys. Do you guys think Gonçalo Ramos is our starter on third qualification in a few weeks, or do you think it's someone else? I'll open that. Whoever wants to go.
I think it is. I think he's going to start just because Roger has started him the last few games, and I think his comment saying that he wants to keep him, definitely wants to keep him, that he's not sellable, is a clear point that he trusts him. And if he trusts him, why not just give him a start?
Bill?
No, I agree. I think at this point, I think he's the one that starts. It's also good to see that we're not relying on just our strikers to score right now. Like we're getting goals from other spots where I think last year that was our biggest concern. If Darwin wasn't scoring, then we weren't getting goals from anyone else. And right now it looks like Rafa has his goal scoring boots on, and our other three forwards are putting the ball in the back of the net. I think they all scored, right? Between the two games?
Yep. They all scored against Fulham. The three of them scored against Fulham. I know that.
I can't remember the last time we had multiple strikers score in one game.
Kenny, how you feeling about it?
No, yeah, I mean, if these games are any indication of, what's to come, then obviously it looks like Gonçalo has won the starting role as the striker. Personally, as my opinion only, and I don't have anything against Gonçalo. I think he's a viable option. I would personally rather start with Yaremchuk. I think he just provides something different. But I mean, if the kid's scoring goals, then you can't. I mean, there's nothing you can say about it. I mean, just keep playing the hot hand.
I mean, that was our biggest criticism of him last year, right? Like, he had all these chances and couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. And then he'd go off to the Seleção and bag like 7 goals in one game. And we were like, what the fuck's going on? I mean, as long as he's putting the ball in the back of the net, his work rate's always going to be there because he's going to
that's no concern.
It's putting the ball in the back of the net. And right now he's got the hot foot. So I think when it comes to Champions League, you got to ride it.
I just like the way he plays. He hustles throughout the whole game. Like, that kid, he runs. Like, he's always, like, even Rafa's.
Look at that pass. That pass is unbelievable. Look at that. Ooh.
I thought you said you were going to bring him up today.
No, I'm talking about
that's
Ramos.
Ramos
with.
That's the with heel pass.
Are you not watching?
Probably one of the very
shot heel pass.
Yeah. No, but I just think he works a lot for the team, and I think the system is going to benefit him, and I think he's going to have a pretty good.
So he shows that he cares, right?
Yeah, he showed. But I agree with you guys.
Last time you said that, that guy scored 30 goals.
Have you seen him cry yet?
But let's not forget, this kid hustles all game, and I think he's going to have to. I mean, if he's going to be an in and out starter every game, he's going to have to manage, the playing style, because I don't think he's going to sustain the entire season the way he is. So we could easily see him
rotation.
Right, but we can easily see him burn himself out.
Correct.
Early on,
and that's obviously the management needs to be able to monitor that correctly. But we saw at the end of last season when he was playing in a second striker position, right, where he was completely shattered. The last 5, 6, 7 games. I mean, we all in our chat and conversations were like, "Why is everyone else coming off, but he's not?" Right. So I agree with both sides of this argument, which is Gonçalo Ramos isn't my preference. I think Yaremchuk is more of a goal-scoring threat, but I agree that Gonçalo Ramos gives the team more overall. He's able to press high. He fits into the system better because he's able to press high. My concern is that, is he going to have that killer instinct that he needs to be able to establish himself as a lone striker in a system of a one forward? He's 21 years old. I mean, he scored 8 goals last season, right? Let's give him that as his adaptation
Darwin scored
season.
less in the first season, so.
No, we didn't. He scored more. He scored 12 goals in 13.
Mike, can Yaremchuk last playing a whole season, running around playing this high press?
I agree. That's what I'm saying. That's what he gives us.
Christmas.
Correct. And with Yaremchuk, you have to play a different style, right? Like, you can't. Gonçalo Ramos and Enrique Araújo are probably the only 2 strikers that we have that can play that high press, guns blazing, right? And then when a guy like Yaremchuk comes in, you got to play a little bit of different style, right? Because he's not going to run his ass off like that. So I think it gives us a little bit of a plan A and a plan B. But I agree. I think overall, Gonçalo Ramos gives us more to the team overall. But I'm still uncertain of his ability to find the net regularly. But if the team's finding goals elsewhere, I think that takes a little bit of pressure off of him to have to deliver consistently. But time will tell.
And Chuck, I think, had a spectacular second half. I mean, if it wasn't for Diogo, the kid with the fro, missing, I mean, he could have had easily another 2 assists. I think Chuck played great in that second half.
And he played in a more balanced team than he did against Nice. Like Nice, it was a big rotation, and we saw a huge drop-off from the first half to the second half. Against Fulham, I think we can all agree that the team looked more competitive in that second half, but it was a little bit more balanced. It wasn't a complete, plan A and plan B. It was a little bit of mix there. So
yeah, him and Raju, they were, I think, playing well off each other.
Yep.
So
to close this out, we have Enzo Fernández. He gets off the airplane. Here's a little compilation of his performance against Fulham, but let's talk about this guy. Arrives from River Plate, uncertainty of when he's going to arrive. River Plate, our beloved Vélez Sarsfield, who we all have loved since we were young kids, knocks River Plate out of the Copa Libertadores unexpectedly. Enzo gets on an airplane with Rui Pedro Braz by the arm, dragging him into the airplane, comes across the pond, and gets presented on one day, maybe had a half of a training the next day, and he's in the starting 11 straight away. I mean, I'll open it up to you guys, but again, it's preseason. We only saw him for 90 minutes, but I told you guys a few months ago, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, I remember I texted you guys and said, remember this kid's name, Enzo Fernández. And shit, I would have never expected him to come to Benfica, but I'm a fan. But I'm going to open it up to you guys. Oscar, what are you thinking?
Man, I started talking about him earlier, but I watched him in this game, he was just, I don't think he had enough time to play with his teammates, so he kind of looked a little off. But you could tell every time he touches the ball that he has that touch. He has the confidence. It's crazy to see this kid playing. And then against Fulham, man, that he just shined. That midfield, you could tell the players look for him. Every single player looks for him. Otamendi, it looks like it's like, I know they're from the same country, but Otamendi, like, I could tell that he's like his dude over there. And his touches, man, it's ridiculous. I was watching him very carefully, and I was impressed with everything he was doing. He was always in the right spot. He pressed. He defended well. He had to, when he had to foul, he fouled. Like right here, look at this tackle on the ball. Just takes it off from the guy, and there you go, the counterattack. It's insane, and I really look forward to watching him this season.
Jay, what do you think?
This was a signing I wanted to see. This is the person that's got me most excited about this season. I think Enzo's going to be a complete stud. Benfica's had some good luck in signing Argentinians,
and from River Plate.
Yep. Yeah, so I asked for an Enzo last year, and we got an Enzo this year. So I'm really excited to see what he can do. He just looks like he just sees the game perfectly the way the coach wants him. His one-touch passing is unreal. I think he's going to be Benfica's probably best player by the end of the season.
I agree. Yeah, he very simple. Doesn't complicate things very much. He's got an incredible work rate on and off the ball.
And I forgot to say, like, I also agree. Someone said it earlier. He's not a small Argentinian either. He's got some size to him. So, and just him playing in that midfield role with Tino, that's good to see as well. Sorry.
And I think that no, it's fine. And when River Plate played Vélez Sarsfield in the second leg, we were chatting in our group chat, and I remember we were talking about how it was so chaotic. And I'm going to pass the ball to Kenny here. Right? It just seemed like everyone was just running around. Like there was no strategy. It was basically like go, 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 go. And I think that brings an element to the Portuguese league, but Benfica as well, where you have a guy like a pure box to box that's used to a style of play that's just guns blazing, right? And at times it maybe doesn't look very strategic, but this guy has the capacity to just continuously run, put in an effort. He has a motor like another Enzo that we had, and we probably haven't had one since. But I think he just brings a different element. Kenny, how are you feeling about this guy?
No, I got a good look at him during the Fulham game, and I thought he was amazing. I mean, he fits the system and the style of play. I think I've seen it in the comments. We've talked about it. I mean, we look just quicker on the ball in the midfield. The passes, I mean, his accuracy is unlike. I mean, just comparing him to Tarat is like completely different, right? Like he's pinging the ball, small little passes here, giving goals. Like he's just so accurate. Moves in the midfield. Like you said, he's a hustler, a true six. Unfortunately, I think that we're gonna just have one good year of him, and I think he's gonna be,
60, 70 million guaranteed
right out
next year.
the door next year.
More.
Right
I think probably more.
but
He's a number 6, so maybe more.
Number eight.
But
Number 8. He's a number 8.
He's a number 8.
Yeah, but you'll go like a
Eight.
Witzel type of player, like a Matic. Usually they don't go for like 100 million, like a forward.
I can see this guy
Mike,
ending up at like a City.
Mike, I have a question for you. I have a question for you. You mentioned in the other podcast that you wanted to see him play where João Matic was playing with, what did you say, Weigl and Tino? Do you think we're going to see that?
Now that I've watched a little bit more,
he goes back too much to the CB position. I don't think
that's the thing.
He goes back too much
plays,
to the ball.
He can play in that role, but the way he's playing in this system, as you can see here in the highlights,
way back there.
He's that first line of construction, right? He's the one that's dropping off,
and
Tino's further up the pitch.
Yeah,
exactly, a Pirlo. AC Milan reinvented that position where Pirlo was basically a number 10 and played as a number 6, and he constructed the game from deep. And not many teams did that. And he's a similar style in the sense that he's got a pass, he's got vision, but he's not playing so far up the pitch. And instead, the defensive midfielder is playing in front of him for, in the event that we lose that possession, Tino's there to press high. Right, so Tino's basically the dog chewing at your ankles if we lose the ball to break up the play, and Enzo's the guy that's sitting back and viewing the entire field and being able to pick that pass. So to answer your question, Jay, do I think we're going to see it? I honestly don't think we're going to see it because I think Weigl ends up leaving before the transfer window closes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think from a regular perspective, if he does stay, I'm not convinced that Weigl gets in this 11 because he can't do what Tino does, which is that high press straight away. He doesn't have that intensity. He doesn't have that speed. And I think that's what's lacking, because if he wants Enzo to play that deep role, which Weigl has played for us in the last 2 years, then he's going to want Weigl to do something else. And Weigl, in my opinion, can't do what Florentino's doing right now. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yep.
Bill.
Well, we'll need strength through the season. We will. I don't see João Mario last year died off like after a quarter of the season or half the season. He died off. So we might need it. So selling Weigl might not be the smartest idea, but I don't see Weigl starting right now. I don't.
I agree, but then again, you look at Weigl's salary and his contract, right? And he's got a huge portion of that salary bill. So if we get a decent offer, I would be surprised if Benfica said no.
And then who's going to be the Bernardo?
We're not done signing. I don't think we're done
That's
signing.
the thing. I think Benfica will sign more if people leave.
Yep.
And I think if Weigl leaves, I think Benfica will sign someone to replace him. It's just a matter of if he leaves, and if he does, who are we going to get? Bill, thoughts?
What impressed me the most was, I know all of us watched that River Plate game in the Libertadores, and it's hectic, right? And for him to come from that style of play, and within 3 days of being in Portugal, he's playing this deep line role, pinging balls around, and everything he's doing is 1 or 2 touch. Like, he doesn't take long to make up his mind. It's crazy to think that he literally got off a plane and started playing a game, and he fits into the team so well. And he, to me, was probably the biggest standout in the Fulham game, just the way he controlled that game in the midfield and the way he pinged it. It's crazy to see, and to have the stamina from playing in Argentina, and the tenacity and the fight, because those games are crazy. I mean, I kept saying it was chaos. Like, you don't have like positions in the field, and it was like everyone just fucking all over the place and tackles left and right. And to come from that, knowing he can play that way and get in a dogfight, but at the same time he can also slow it down and play the perfect pass. It's the sky's the limit. But I agree with, I think Kenny said it, I don't think he's going to be here long. I think we have 1, maybe 2 years if somehow they can keep him, but I think he's one of these players that comes in and he's here for a short time, makes a huge impression, but is gone very quickly.
Yeah, like a Ramirez comes in one season and leaves.
Yeah.
This wasn't on the docket, but I wanted to point something out, and I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but as I'm watching these highlights, did you guys notice that Rafa is operating in a very central position these last few games? I don't know if you guys noticed, but he's switching a lot with João Mario. João Mario's going wide and he's coming inside. And if you watch these highlights, almost every single time he's on the inside. He starts on the inside and he's not starting on the outside, which I think brings like here, right? Almost as a 10, right? See where he's coming to get that ball. We're not losing him out wide, and he's involved in the play. Again, look at him. He's a central position. He's not stuck on the sideline.
It's essentially giving Grimaldo that whole flank, right? He's playing
a floater. He's like Messi, just kind of floating.
Rafa's playing exactly what João Felix used to play at Benfica. He's more like a coming in, going out. He's basically a floater, like Kenny was just saying, a floater on the top. And I was asking for last year. João Mario is a player that's played in the wing. So like when Rafa comes in, João Mario should be able to fit in. That's why I like João Mario. João Mario is a player that can play in multiple positions, not stuck in number 8 or stuck in number 10. He's like, he can play the wing, he can play the end, he can play out, and it confuses the opposing team. So to me, this is very good. And if it's Roger doing this, then it's amazing, because it just confuses the other team, and guys are facing different guys at all times of the game.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting detail, because we're used to seeing him just hugging the end line or hugging the sideline, or picking it up, 70 yards from goal and trying to create something on his own. And I think him having a guy with his speed and his ability to get him behind in a central role, but also being able to float around, João Mario going out wide, who doesn't have speed but can pick a pass, right, I think creates a different dynamic there, which I think will help us, especially in moments of transition, right? Like this break quick, right? You got guys that can move, guys that can pick a pass. And I thought it was interesting to see where more often than not, he was operating in a central role, and very few times did you see him at the beginning of the play hugging the sideline.
I love it. So I think it's going to give opposition like a hard time. Changing it up. I agree. It's not predictable.
Neres was doing it too, not as much, but he was doing it as well. Like there's a few of them here where if you pay attention to where he is, he's tucked in more, and Gilberto's the one kind of running the entire flank.
Yep. Yeah, I think for me, when I see these games, or especially this game against Fulham, I see the back line, and I see the Tino and Enzo having the positions, right? And for Tino and Enzo helping each other, and then that middle spot. The other 4 guys, I see them like moving all over the place. I legit see João Mario's all over the place. Rafa's all over the place. You have Ramos that can come out and be as a striker. So those guys, like Neres, can go to either side, either flank. So those guys are going to cause a lot of problems. And that's, I think, what Roger is basically, hey, you guys are the ones going to be scoring our goals. You got most of our goals. So you guys have to create in the front. And then we have the solid back that's going to help you guys move the ball forward. And I think it's working perfectly.
Yeah, time will tell. Hopefully it continues to evolve and progress.
So Mike, can I just add one thing? So I think one thing that we talked about last year was in open games, when we had space, we played well, right? And then when we played against smaller teams that closed on defense, we couldn't pick through. I think one thing with this midfield that I'm impressed about, just again, I really just got a good glimpse of it in the Fulham game, is in small, tight spaces. I mean, we're so much quicker on the passes and putting players into space. I think that is one thing that I want to see moving into the season, into Champions League, is how we play in games that are closed, right? Because that's where we seem to be struggling in the past or in recent history, is how do we find a way to penetrate? And I think with the players that we have coming into the team this year, I think we're in better position for that.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting to see how they do against the smaller teams in the league that, shut up shop and just sit deep. I think we have enough weapons to be able to do it. But again, it'll be a test for the team. And I'm sure Roger Schmidt ran into it in the Eredivisie right? Apart from Ajax and PSV and maybe Feyenoord, most of the other teams are going to sit a little bit deeper given the offensive firepower that some of those teams have. So,
I
but
mean,
we'll
we saw
see.
it against Reading. Reading sat pretty deep and compact for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, the game itself wasn't that great, but again, it was the first game of the season, so
exactly.
Time will tell. Moving on here. We have transfers.
The list.
So the rumored list of leavers or people that have been snipped from the roster. André Almeida, Maite, Gabriel Tarat, Pizzi, Chiquinho, Diogo Gonçalves, Gil Dias, Rodrigo Pinho, and Seferovic, who arrived in Istanbul tonight. So he's already gone. The deal apparently is a loan with the requirement to buy for 3.5 million, and Benfica saves 8 million in salary over his next 2 years. I'm going to start with you, Bill. Any names on this list that surprise you? Any names on this list that you think could still be useful to this team this season?
Nope.
Next.
No, I mean, going down the list, I mean, some of those names were names we heard rumored to be part of, or the attempted transfer of Horta, right? Like,
the latest one I saw was Maite and Gil Dias.
Yeah, Gil Dias was on it. I remember Chiquinho at one point, and Diogo was on it. Well, it's rumored apparently to be part of it, but I mean, I don't think looking at the list, I don't think any of them could give anything to could help Benfica at all this year. I mean, I had hope for Diogo, especially that first year with Jorge Jesus playing that kind of wing back role. I thought he looked very good then, but if we're going back to this 4-back system, I don't think he can't play a right back, and I don't think he's good enough to be one of our options as a winger.
Backup for Rafa? No.
We
have nobody now.
No, I agree, but we saw him come in last year at points at the end of the season, and he didn't do shit. Like, I rather give that backup or emergency role to one of the young kids and roll with that for the season. And if worst case, like Rafa gets injured and you need like a more seasoned replacement, then come January, then you look at other options. But I don't think anyone on that list can give any help to Benfica this season.
Jay. Yeah. All right, Kenny, go.
Well, first I just want to say you and Bill, by the way, fabulous tans. You guys look great.
Thank you.
Just want to
Thank you.
point
Appreciate
that
it.
So I just want to start off with saying this. I think the guys on this list, I think it's a part of a coach's decision, but I also think it's a Dita Sound's decision as to why some of these guys are moving. And there's one guy specifically I want to start off with saying we thank him for all his service. He's done. I'm being serious. He was a staple on the team. He won us titles, a captain. But I think a lot of what's going on with this list is that it's kind of like changing of the guard. I think could this guy potentially still be on the team and provide us with something? Absolutely. But I think it's more about changing of the guard, getting more youth, and moving on from a lot of the history and the drama and things that have gone in the past, and just moving forward with a new coach, new ideas, and new players moving forward. So, when you ask, could some of these guys, still offer us something? I think there are a couple that could, but I think it has to do more with time to move forward, get more youthful, give some of these young kids an opportunity as backups, and move forward from the past, because let's face it, the last few years have been horrible, and I don't want any of that lingering into this season. I'm
going to give Oscar the first shout here, and then Jay can go last to finish it off.
I mean, it is what it is. It's a new.
How many notes do you make over there on your little piece of paper? I know there's a lot.
Eu escrevi aqui uns pieces 4 vezes.
In big letters. In big letters.
No, but this is to me. It's not like do these guys deserve a spot on the 11? It's never been about that. It's been like, can these guys be useful? And then you have to take in salaries, take in all the stuff. And I get it if you have to move away with them. But I'm not gonna sit here like Tank just said. He's laughing because Pizzi is gone, right? I'm not, because I wouldn't do that to Jonas. I wouldn't do that to Aimar, because those guys left a mark on the Benfica, right? And I respect them. They did good for the club, and I will never be the one here saying Baca Velha, bota para fora, because I respect what they did for the club, especially Pizzi out of the stand that was here. And then you have André Almeida, who's been useful. I'm not gonna say a stud. He's been useful for the last 10 years of Benfica, right? He's been there like as a backup. He started in the midfield. He filled spots for people when they were out, and I respect that. I'll never forget it. So to me, hey, they should have like a game to kind of say goodbye to these guys. That's the type of respect I have for these two. And then you have Seferovic. Seferovic is a guy that won as a title. We said we've been pissed about him missing goals. He has to, he misses 5 in every 10, whatever it is, the stats that you guys come up with. But like he's got the ball though a few times by Benfica, and he's been our striker for the last 3-4 years when we had nobody else. So I respect those guys. And for me to sit here and laugh because they got sent out is not what I'll do. So yeah, if there are reasons for them to go because salary is too high for them to sit on the bench, then fine. That's a decision that the club has to make, and I'm okay with it. But I respect those guys. And if you tell me, hey, one game that we can't get the ball through, would PZ be useful? Yes, he would be useful. Is he a player that you're gonna need him to stay on the team just because of that one game that you need him to be useful to get a pass through? No, I get it. So hey, thank you, and I hope to give you an ovation when you guys leave.
Damn, that deserves a mic drop. I'm gonna admit that was a pretty balanced response. I must admit, I think you removed the emotion from it, which I'm proud of. I expected a fucking Peasy has to stay. Yeah.
My God, you got to clip that one and throw that one on TikTok.
Yeah. That one's gonna go to the archives. Jay, what do you think about that?
Look, I have nothing more to say about Peasy. I hope he leaves, and thank you for everything, and see you later. Have a nice life. I could care less. I just want the team to kind of get trimmed down a little bit overall. But yeah, I agree. I'm happy for what he did, but he should have left the team 2 years ago.
Okay, and any of the others that you think would be valuable?
Regarding the rest of the team, I think these are all guys like Kenny mentioned, changing the guard, kind of getting rid of some of the players that probably should have left or probably should have never been signed. I'm probably talking about like the Gil Diaz, Pinu, and Mate.
Red Baron brought up Gil Diaz having a good preseason.
I just don't think Gil Diaz is a player for Benfica, to be honest. It's just my opinion. He could probably be a good backup, but I don't know. I don't see it.
Would you guys say that with Gil Diaz? So with Gil Diaz leaving, does that mean Grimaldo staying? So it's Grimaldo.
You have Ristich.
We can't have just one player for position. Like that's what I mean about Diogo Gonçalves. Is he a starter? No. Does he make a good salary, a big salary? Probably not. So like he's a player that attacking wise. When we talked about him, he's a good wing back because when we play the 3 defender system, he's a good wing back, right? But he's not a right back. But he is a wing back. Wing back means he goes forward. He's a guy that goes forward a lot, and it's good for a backup for Rafa. I don't get it. I mean, maybe there's options on the table that we don't know about, but I see Rafa and I see Neres on each side, and then I don't see nobody backing them up that I can see from the preseason. So one gets hurt or one goes on bad form. Like Everton had a few games where he looks like a stud, and then all of a sudden he fell off the horses too. That could be with Neres. You never know. Neres is coming off of 6 months without playing.
I also did hear like 2 of these. I mean, it's also a rumor, but who knows how much of it's true or not. But 2 of these players plus some money to get Arta. I don't know if that's going to fall through or not. I think it was Gil Diaz and Mate.
Yep.
Dude, at this point, I'm over the.
Yeah, I'm over.
The Horta
rumor is that he's going to be
saga,
announced on Friday, but if he doesn't get announced, I literally would be like,
I personally don't want him to come to the team. I kind of wish we could kind of go elsewhere. I'm more intrigued of the French guy that we were linked to. I forgot his name. Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, some of these guys, there's the trim, like they had to trim the roster, so someone had to go, and I think this point is they kind of got their core, and they're kind of getting rid of the. Like, you look at the list, they're all pretty much the old guys on the team, except for a few.
I mean, if you look at it, like I'd be sure like PZ, Seth, PZ, Tarap, Mike, and Romeo, they're probably some of the better paid players on the team. So like
compared to the other ones, yeah.
Right. So like, yes, this is I think Mike said it, like it's a mixture of coaching decision plus like Rui Costa and the finances behind the scene. Like they have to kind of balance the books here. They made some pretty good signings. I'm assuming a lot of these guys, some of these signings are getting decent wages, so they have to balance the books. I mean,
and don't you think it's also part of Rui Costa's messaging that we want to use the youth, right? We want to use the academy. Like, would you have rather seen a list of all the youngster names and all these guys staying on the team? I think the idea is let's get rid, like, it's time to cut the cord on some of these older guys and move forward with the Diogo Moreira. Is that right? The Diogo Moreira and Net is a Neto.
Diego. But do you guys think, and quickly to close off this topic, is I'm going to read you the names that were on the bench, and you guys tell me if you think these B team players or these youth players are going to stay with the A team. Starting with the goalies, I don't think any of them stay. Samu, Leo Kukubu, and Andre Gomes. I don't think any of them stay.
How many do we usually carry? 2 or 3?
We normally carry the 2, and then there's a third in the event of an issue. I think that third one's probably going to be. Yeah, the third one I think is going to be Samu. Yeah. I think it'll be Samu. Andre Gomes is way too young. He's 17 years old, and people are like, "Oh my God, he won the youth league." Guys, relax. He's 17.
Yeah, he's young.
It wasn't even the starter. He only played the final because.
Yeah, Samu got a red card.
Samu got a red card.
And then we got Antonio Silva, who has looked good, but I think he needs to go and play more minutes and play on the B team. He had been on the, I believe, U23 team, so playing on the B team, I think will give him some time. Tomás Araújo, do you think he stays, or do you think we bring him down to get more minutes?
He looked very young.
I think he might end up loaned out.
But the fact that Antonio Silva has been starting over him, I think, is a huge red flag to me, right? Like,
and I think
this kid came out of nowhere and starts over Tomás Araújo.
Yeah, I think they put him on the B team, and then Araújo.
He definitely looks more comfortable than Araújo.
Yeah,
100%. Paulo Bernardo, for me, loan all day.
Yeah.
He had a rough preseason.
I feel like he's still not ready. I think he needs to go somewhere, play regular minutes. Martin Neto, you guys think he stays or goes down?
I mean,
some of these guys have to stay.
He played the second half against Fulham, right?
Yep.
And he looked.
That was the only game he played, I think, right?
The high press that he was doing, it wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. I mean, I don't know what he offers.
Yeah,
I personally think most of these guys stay with the A team, and then they're gonna play like if they're because like how many players can get suited up for a regular season game?
You can only have 5 and a goalie.
If he's carrying 27 players on the roster, then some players are going to be playing.
Goalie.
Well, there's going to be some players that are going to be probably the kids are going to be playing in the B team to get experience. So I think most of the kids are going to stay. To be honest,
I think Martin Neto stays. Thiago Vea, I think going back to what Oscar said, right? We need an option on the wing, and I think he's going to end up being one of those options.
Is that the guy with the hair?
There's
that's Diego.
There's rumors that he's going to Estoril.
Thiago
Vea.
Possibly. Diego, I think he needs to go to the B and get regular minutes.
Yeah.
And not sit on the A team bench.
I've seen flashes.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised. He's a lot bigger than I thought he was. Like I thought he was
only 18.
No, I agree, but
he reminds me of Jetson. He reminds me of Jetson.
Yeah,
he's 17 years old.
Yeah, that's true.
He reminds me of Jetson playing.
The way he runs.
He just needs some more maturity, I think.
So with him,
I agree.
with him, I don't think he's ready, but I think he's been the one that has shown more. Although Antonio Silva has had a pretty good season, I think he's the second one that has shown a little bit of potential. I think he might actually stay on the A team.
I think
he's also a winger, so
I think he starts on the B team, but he's going to be one that will come up frequently. I think we'll see him from time to time, but the majority of the season, I think he spends on the B team.
I agree with exactly what Bill says. He stays on the A team. He's going to practice with the A team, but then when game day comes, he's probably going to play in the B games.
That's important, right? Like we can't have him sitting on the bench and not getting minutes. He's 18 years old. Like whether he's playing on the A or on the B, he needs to play regular minutes, and sitting on the bench isn't going to do anything.
I'd say that I kind of do like him, like doing that strategy with him practicing on the A team, getting to know.
I agree.
But Mike, isn't there? I mean, and this could be just Champions League, but isn't there a Champions League like you need a certain amount of homegrown players?
Correct. Yep. I mean, these guys will definitely be on that list.
They'll just test the roster, though. That's just
they have to submit the roster. You need, I think it's like 18 or 14 homegrown players that you need.
Yeah. And we have plenty of homegrown players.
Yeah, and those guys will definitely be on the list.
Yeah.
All right, we have about 8 minutes before we wrap this up, and we're gonna do another start, bench, sell. But before that, I just want to give a few notes here to some of the comments. Tiago says: Horta é uma boa alternativa para jogar na posição de João Mário, mas não vai ser fácil a negociação. Não tem sido fácil. Imagino que ainda vai haver ali alguns problemas, por isso, I don't know, é muita confusão para Ricardo Horta, I think, na minha opinião. Gary says, I love the way the ball comes off Enzo. That sounds like the title of like a porno. I love the way the ball comes off Enzo. Let's see. Sheik says another big difference.
Save that for the title of one of the pods after a game where Enzo's fucking fire.
What's gonna happen?
Hey.
Come on,
another big difference is the willingness to pass the ball forward between lines instead of always playing to the side and back, Verissimo style. Don't get Oscar liked Verissimo. Don't get him mad.
With the coach?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
You defended him. You defended him.
I defended him not because I want him to stay at Benfica.
You don't defend someone you don't like. This kid's a clone of Enzo Perez with better improved passing. I think Enzo plays more of a deep lying playmaker than box to box. It runs the ball like Renato Sanchez, very different number 8s. This is very true. João Miguel says, or even better option is PZ up top. We've closed that book.
Too much sun.
We've closed that book. All right. Start, bench, sell. Those of you that are watching.
Before you guys go, there's a comment there. I think Thiago said it. Like nobody's mentioned Adel Tarap, but last year Adel Tarap was one of our best players with Vigo. If you guys remember, he was
like when you think about it.
I know he did a lot of mistakes and a lot of shit. Why? Like, and then we talked, but he was a lot of the season. He was one of our best players, and all
he had a good spell.
And what does that say about the season we had last year?
Everybody's like, dude, Adel Tarap looks like a different new player.
But like our expectations weren't very high.
Exactly.
Bye, Adele. Bye.
I'm clipping that.
That was like I thought. I don't remember it being a long spell. I thought it was like a one or
game or two.
6 or 7 games. 6 or 7.
You probably didn't watch a lot of the games last year. It's all right because I know Benfica sucked.
All right, start, bench, sell. Those of you who are watching, add your thoughts in the comments. Who would you sell, or who would you start? Who would you bench? Who would you sell? And those of you who are listening after the fact, come back and check us out on YouTube or on Facebook and add your thoughts in your comments. I'm going to start with Kenny.
Thanks.
Start, bench, sell. Javi Garcia, Fejsa, Matic.
Start, bench, sell. So I would sell Fejsa, start Matic, and bench Javi.
So you're starting Matic. You're benching Javi,
and selling
Fejsa.
No.
Okay. Jay, what are you doing here?
Start Javi, bench Fejsa, sell Matic.
Starting Javi, benching Fejsa, and selling Matic. Okay. It's an interesting one.
You just want the money, the transfer money.
Oscar.
You don't care about Benfica.
He's making a way for Florentino to get into the line.
There's not much difference on these three players, in my opinion.
No, I think Matic is a big difference.
Yeah.
No.
All right, because of their
Javi's
history,
the better player.
Because of their history, I would Fejsa gets hurt a lot, so I'll get rid of him. He was hurt half the time. Matic is probably the guy that gets the most money, so I would start Javi, bench Matic, and sell Fejsa. I would think.
Okay.
He sold Matic.
Huh?
He sold Matic.
He sold Matic.
Oh, he sold. Never mind. Then I'm not with you. Good thing.
But you're benching Matic, so you think
I am. Yeah,
so Javi's the better player, right?
To me, Javi's a true number 6, and Matic is more like a.
Oscar, I completely fucking agree with you, man. 100%.
I'm clipping that too.
But you don't. You don't.
I agree with the start.
So you're gonna bench the probably the best one out of the three. You're just gonna sit on your bench.
Wait, am I gonna? Who says Matic is better than Javi?
Than Javi?
Who told you that?
I mean,
number 6. This is for number 6 position. I would take Javi. We missed that Javi number 2. Number 6 is Javi. All right, Matic is more like what Vigo gives us right now.
Matic went on to have a way better career than any of those two guys. Way better. Champions League winner. Like,
true.
Biggest transfer.
Hot take.
I'm talking about when they were at Benfica, those 3 guys. That's what I would do. I mean, if I knew Rui Costa had an awesome career outside, but at Benfica, did he have really a good career?
Just a little banter. I
mean, Bill.
I'm starting Matic, benching Javi, and selling Fejsa.
I'm with you on that one as well. I'm starting Matic, benching Javi, and selling Fejsa.
So
Fejsa was a machine.
We got 3 starters.
Very injury prone.
4 in a row.
We got 3 starters for Matic and 2 for Javi. So a little divided.
I kind of feel bad for Fejsa because I
do because he was a monster. But I think just because he got injured a lot. But I mean, he went between all his clubs. I think he went 8 years straight winning titles.
I think it was like 10.
Yeah. It was
Olympiacos, Olympiacos, and Benfica.
And Mike, I'll tell you this. This was close. Like this is like I think these guys are very similar. I know they're playing the same position, but this is like a really good one to
I mean, I love all 3 players, but I don't think skill wise that they're that close. I think Matic is far above the other 2.
As a number 6, though. I'm looking for number 6 position.
I think they bring different. I think they all have different attributes.
I think Matic is a more finesse number 6.
Correct, but he's like
Matic was a number. Matic was a number 8. He got adapted. When he was at Vitesse and Chelsea, he was an 8, and then
like a Vigo. He's exactly like a Vigo. He's more of a finesse number 6. When Javi's a true number 6.
But Javi's true number 6 in the sense of like he's a physical bulldog. He'll just fucking run through walls.
Yo,
but Matic,
George Martins just came with a comment.
I think you need to block him, Mike. This guy coming with these kind of takes.
Overall. Yebda did have some nice hair though.
Jesus.
Nice great hair.
Who's that guy that Betu he was in number 6?
Betu.
He scored against Manchester United, right?
Against me and you.
Yeah.
Played center mid.
All right, do you have another one?
Well, no, that was it for today. That was a good one though. We'll debate here.
I have one for you guys, can I?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's hear it quickly.
Simão, Di Maria, or the
you should say
what's your guys? Thank your guy from Argentinian guy. What the fuck is his name?
Gaita.
That is a good one. You should save that one.
Damn, that's a really good one. That
I would say very close.
Save that one. Save that one for next week.
All right, gives you guys a week to think about it.
Let me make a note of this. Nico, Simão, and Di Maria. Okay. All right. Well, everyone that has been listening, watching, thank you for following us. Thank you for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Those of you who are listening after the fact, don't forget to check us out on social media, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Follow, like, subscribe. Share. Again, we hit 25,000 followers on Facebook. We're moving our way up on the other social media platforms. So Facebook is definitely our biggest contributor, at least at the moment, but slow and steady. We'll get there with the others. We have a friendly game coming up this week, I think Thursday in Switzerland. I believe it's against Girona. The game or Friday. The opponent changed last minute. We have the Eusebio Cup next Tuesday, which will be back next week. And just a reminder, we have our basically a program that we're running called Cantinho Benfiquista. On Tuesday at the Eusebio Cup, we will have a father and daughter from Switzerland, courtesy of Cantinho Benfiquista. They will be sitting front row. Tickets provided by us. They've never watched the game at the stadium. Therefore, we're trying to give back to the next generation of Benfica fans. So they will be at that game. We have a few others lined up throughout the season, giving them an opportunity to go witness a game in person, in flesh, at the most beautiful stadium in the world. So stay tuned for that. If you guys know anyone, a young child, Benfica fan, who lives in Portugal or is going to be in Portugal that has never had a chance to go watch a game, send us a message. We'd love to get in contact with them and give them an opportunity to go and make one of their dreams come true. If we're able to help, that's what we're here for. We want to differentiate ourselves from all the other groups and all the other podcasts, and do something a little bit different. So hopefully this brings a smile to some people's faces and some children's faces. So if that's what we're able to do, then that's a positive. So again, thank you guys, gentlemen. Thank you. Pleasure as always having this conversation. Those of you watching, listening, thanks for tuning in. We will be back next week. Tomorrow we have the Portuguese podcast. Yep, like and subscribe. Tomorrow we have the Portuguese podcast with Luis, Nuno, and Mauro Xavier. I'm sure you guys all know he's coming in hot. We got Mauro talking about a lot of controversy, a lot of stuff. So tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern time, 21 horas in Portugal. Yep. So tomorrow, don't miss it. As always, gentlemen, have a good night, and we will chat soon.
Thank you, Peasy.
Hey, guys.